Welcome to the Explainer. So if you're learning Spanish, you've probably already noticed that the language is just full of these fascinating little puzzles, right? Well, today we're going to look at one of the absolute most important pieces of everyday Spanish grammar, pronombres personales con preposición, or, as we call them in English, object pronouns. But hey, don't let the technical terms intimidate you. By the time we wrap up here, we are going to totally master this grammar puzzle together. Okay, let's dive right in and decode exactly how these pronouns work, when they change, and why learning these specific rules is going to instantly make your Spanish sound so much more natural.
Here's our game plan for today. We'll cover 1. Preposiciones en español. 2. Pronombres con preposición. 3. Las excepciones, conmigo y contigo. 4. Ejemplos prácticos. And finally, 5. Resumen de la lección.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1. Prepositions en español.
Okay, so these are your Spanish prepositions. We've got words like a, de, hacia, según, ante, desde, hasta, sin, bajo, en, para, sobre, con, entre, por, tras, and contra. Now, these are just those little everyday connector words we use constantly to express things like direction, location, time, or possession. Think of English words like to, from, with, or without. So why does this actually matter for our lesson? Well, because placing any of these specific connector words directly in front of certain pronouns is exactly what triggers the language mechanics we're exploring today. Think of them as the catalysts.
Moving right along to Section 2, pronombres con preposición.
All right, meet the biggest rebels of the Spanish language right up front here. In their standard subject form, you know them as yo, meaning I, and tú, meaning the informal you. But the very second you drop one of our prepositions in front of them, like para, which means for, they completely transform. Yo becomes me, tú becomes di. They literally change their spelling and their entire shape. You would absolutely never say para yo, you'd say para mí. You'd never say sin tú, you'd say sin di. These two right here, they're the rebels you absolutely have to memorize.
And honestly, this beautifully illustrates the big secret of Spanish prepositional pronouns. Look at the top. We see our rebels, right? Yo becomes me, tú becomes di. But take a look at the rest of this list. Usted stays usted, él stays él, or sometimes ello, ella stays ella, nosotros remains nosotros, ustedes is still ustedes, and ellas and ellos, yep, perfectly unchanged. This is literally fantastic news for you as a learner because it massively reduces your cognitive load. The vast majority of pronouns don't change at all after a preposition. You really only need to watch out for that first and second person singular.
Which brings us to Section 3, las excepciones, conmigo y contigo.
Notice that right next to our rebels, Mia and T, there's this extra category for excepciones. And here's the kicker. These exceptions only happen with one highly specific preposition. That preposition is con, which just means with. So here is the absolutely crucial point. When the word con meets our rebel pronoun me, you do not say con me. The language simply doesn't allow it. Instead, they actually fuse together into this complete grammatical anomaly. Conmigo, meaning with me. And the exact same magic happens with di. When con meets di, they merge to become contigo, meaning with you. They become entirely new single words. It's an incredibly efficient quirk of the language, and honestly, they're just really fun words to say. Conmigo and contigo.
All right, let's see this in action. Section 4, ejemplos prácticos.
Check out our first practical example here. Julio trabaja con ellos todos los días. Julio works with them every day. Let's dissect this really quick. Our preposition here is con, meaning with, and the pronoun following it is ellos, meaning them. Because ellos is a total rule follower, it stays exactly the same. It doesn't change form, and it certainly doesn't fuse with the word con. So the standard rule is playing out perfectly here.
Now, let's look at a rebel in the wild with our second sentence. Mi prima vive conmigo. My cousin lives with me. The speaker wants to say with me, right? So the preposition is con, and the pronoun for me is me. But because of our special rule, con plus me seamlessly becomes the single word conmigo. Mi prima vive conmigo.
Let's just reinforce this exception concept one more time with a third example. El niño quiere jugar contigo. The little boy wants to play with you. Again, we want to say with you informally. We take con, we add ti, and boom, we get that beautiful, highly common fusion word contigo. Honestly, if you listen to any Spanish music or watch Spanish TV, I guarantee you are going to hear conmigo and contigo constantly.
Now let's actually slow down for a second and look under the hood at the mental mechanics of forming a sentence with our other prepositions. Step 1, we select our preposition, in this case, sin, which means without. Step 2, we select our pronoun for you, which we know transforms into our rebel form, ti. Step 3, we put them together. The result is our fourth example. Todos van a la playa sin ti. Everybody goes to the beach without you. Notice how sin and ti do not fuse together? The fusion only happens with the word con. For sin, they stay as two totally separate words, sin ti. Okay, let's wrap this all up. Section 5, Resumen de la lesson.
So, what are the big takeaways here? First, take a deep breath. The vast majority of Spanish pronouns don't change at all when you put them after a preposition. Nosotros is nosotros, ella is ella. Easy. Second, memorize your two rebels. Yo always becomes me and tú always becomes thee. And finally, just remember those grand exceptions. When you use the word con, it fuses with those rebels to create the unique words conmigo and contigo. If you just cement this idea of the rule and the rebellion into your mind, you can absolutely walk away feeling completely confident in your object pronoun skills.
I want to leave you with this one last example, straight from our source text. ¿Es este libro para mí? Is this book for me? Look at how beautifully the grammar works there. Preposition para, followed by the rebel pronoun me. But I also want to use this sentence to ask you a broader question. Is this knowledge for you? Now that you actually have the tools to understand how these prepositions and pronouns interact, how are you going to use them in your own conversations today? The puzzle is solved, the rules are yours, and the next step is simply speaking. Keep practicing, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.